All right, everybody. Today we are going to do another one of our app webinars. Welcome to it. We are going to talk about Claro PDF. That's the icon for Claro PDF right there. This is a tool that allows you to import PDFs into your iPad and then interact with them in multiple ways. You can have it read back out loud. You can highlight, take notes on it, do whatever you want there. And then have those read and share that with other folks as well. So it's a nice tool for annotating PDFs and having accessible PDFs read out loud. So let's go ahead and open this and take a look at how this works. I have a PDF open right here, but what I want to do is just go right across the top of the toolbar here, and if we look at the file folder and tap on that, you can see we have two options. We have PDF documents, or we have open from Dropbox. So we can get things onto the iPad in two ways. We can connect this to a Dropbox account, which we've talked about with several other apps, which is probably the easiest way to do this. Or you can move PDFs into your iTunes on your computer, connect your iPad to the computer, and then import them into the computer from here. What we're going to do is just, at this point, I've got PDFs. I'm going to hit PDF Documents. I've pulled in that second PDF there from Dropbox, so now it's saved within this app and I can utilize it from here. I suppose another way that we can do this is if we had PDFs in other apps or in like email, we could choose open in Claro PDF from there and access those as well. But we're just going to access it this way. I'm going to close since this is already open, and you'll see now we've got that PDF pulled up here. So there's a couple things we can do. We can scroll down just like you typically would to see what the rest of your text is there. When you start scrolling down, if you look across the bottom, you're going to see all the pages that pop up in that PDF. If you want to go to another page, you can just slide to the left. We slide to the right, it takes us back to the previous page. So that's how we can kind of interact and get around on this PDF. Now, if you look at the bottom of the page here, there's a play button and a stop button. If we want to read this, we can go and tap where we want to start, and it's going to start reading. You're going to see it highlights the sentence as it reads. We'll turn this up a little bit. You can hear it. We hit stop. That's a pretty good voice right there. This uses a pretty nice voice, not quite as robotic as some of the others, but it's a pretty good overall voice. I'm going to skip the edit button for a second and take you into the settings button, which is that little gear up there. We go into settings. You can see the first option here is voice name. If we choose voice name, right here you have English and UK voices. I'm using Tom English. That's pretty good. There's some female voices in English as well. If we were to go in the store, we can buy voices in other languages also. So if we had text in another language, we could buy a voice and have it read in that language. If we look at speaking rate, we have different words per minute levels that we can use here. The highest that it goes is 360 words per minute. I've heard that at higher than 240, any highlighting, it doesn't sync real well with that. So if you just want it read, you want it read fast, if you get up to 360 and you don't care about the highlighting, then that's going to work out okay for you. We can turn it on here to speak in the background. Speak in the background means that we can get out of this app, do other things, and it'll continue reading for us. So that's kind of a nice feature that we can have that reading in the background. I have it set right now on speak on tap. So this means that I don't even have to touch the play button. I can tap where I want it to start reading, and it's going to start reading automatically for me. If that becomes too much of a hassle, you can always turn that off. The other thing I have here is auto scroll turned on, and what this means is that when I have this read, it's going to auto scroll so that that sentence that it's reading is always right in the middle of the iPad. So it's going to move automatically for you to keep that right in the middle of the iPad, so you're not having to do too much tracking on that. Right now I have the highlighting. I have mode as sentence, so that means that it's going to highlight just the sentence that it's reading. If I have word, it's going to highlight the word as it reads. If I turn it to word trail, and I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll show you the example of how that works in a second. It's going to highlight each word and leave the words highlighted behind it until it gets to the end of a sentence, and then it's going to clear that and start over again. But you could turn no highlighting on if you want also. You can change the highlighting color. Lots of different colors in there that you can change it to. You can change the background color if we needed to set this up a little bit differently. If somebody needed a different color to help this text stand out, you can set it up that way. And you can change the page scrolling between pages to up and from horizontal to vertical if you wanted to also. So that's the gist of the settings. Pretty nice settings. I like that auto scroll feature. I like the tap to speak, and I like the speaking in the background piece as well. But let's just go ahead and I'm just to show you the tap to speak. I'm going to tap something down here at the bottom. I'll just tap something down here at the bottom. And that's not good. It shouldn't read across like that. It should know that it's, I guess that might be a downside of this. Let's try it up here. You can see it's highlighting and it's leaving that trail, and you can see it's auto-scrolling to the center of the page. I've never had a problem with this particular PDF with the column issue. Let's see if that happens on a different page or not. That's certainly something to keep in mind. So it looks like maybe it was just maybe it was some kind of tagging within the PDF on that first page that caused that issue, because here it didn't pick up, it stayed within the proper column. But something to keep in mind when you're working with this also. Now where this also gets pretty cool, and probably the big features of this come under this little pencil, the edit button here. If we tap that edit button, you're going to see several different things. The first option we're going to start with here is highlighting. That key that's like a blue block is the highlighting button. If we tap and hold, well, it's not just highlighting. You're going to see we can choose to highlight, to underline. I'm not sure what that next one, or to kind of to put a squiggly line underneath it, or to strike through the text. So if we choose highlight, we can select the text just by dragging our finger over it and let go, and it's going to highlight in, and I don't know why it highlighted all over the place, but it's going to highlight in whatever color we have there. If I tap and hold on that highlighting, I can choose now here the type that I want. So I can change that to all underline if I wanted to. I can change, we'll go back to highlight for now. I can change the color. There's yellow, red, green, blue, purple, black, and there's custom, or I could have any of those things spoken. I could change the opacity of this, or I could add a note to this to those things as well. Say something like this is a test. Then change that there. Also, I could copy it, I could trash it, or I could speak it as well. Again, I'm not sure why. Let's get rid of that whole thing. I'm not sure why it highlighted all over the place on me on that. The next option over, so this little text button allows us to type on the PDF. So if I tap that, I get a little text box. Let's call this notes for Wednesday. And now I've got this this note that I can move around. If I hit this inspector button, I can change the color of the text, the fill color, the opacity. I can change the font. I can change the text size, the alignment. I've got all that editable option in there. The next thing over is note. If I tap note, anywhere I tap, I can add this note. You can see now there's a note listed on that. Next to that is a pencil for drawing. So now I've got the ability, if I had a stylus and I wanted to write on here, I could write notes on this. I could circle things. You know, I can do whatever I wanted to with that. The next option is for drawing shapes. If I hold this down, you'll see I get options for different shapes that I can draw on here. The next option over is an option for adding pictures. So you can link this to you can use your camera. You can link this to your photo library. I link it to my photo library, and let's say I want people to know that this was University of Iowa related thing. I can go back in here. I can choose University of Iowa, and I can hit use up top, and now I've got this image we can shrink that a little, and I can put that image directly into my PDF also. So if you knew of, if you were doing something, you knew of a graph that wasn't in the PDF that you wanted to include, you could save that to your iPad, plug it in to your PDF like that as well. And then there's an option for erasing over here also. So if there's something you wanted to erase, you can choose erase, and you can get rid of that tool. Now, if we go up top and hit edit, we could save everything, or we could clear the page. Basically, this allows us to annotate within our PDFs. I want to go back to the reading piece for a second. One thing this won't read is if you have images in your PDF, it's not going to read the images. It's going to have a hard time doing that. So that's not something you can count on. But now that we've added some notes into this, I want to point out also, if you go up here to this open book, the bookmarks option, and we tap on that, if we want, we can add a bookmark to a page. Right now I have a bookmark on page 3. If I wanted to add a bookmark on page 4, and we can edit these, we can call them, we could call this Wednesday if I knew that that was the day that I was doing something in there. We could call that Wednesday instead of page 4. Also on here, if you look up top, it's not just bookmarks. If we hit annotations, we can see the annotations that we've plugged in here. So we put an image stamp, we put ink drawings, we put a text note, we wrote a text note, and we've got another note in here as well. So we can tap on any of those, and it'll bring it up, or it'll show us what we've done. So even including if we went in and we did some highlighting in here, let's just highlight that. Now if we go back to annotations, and that highlighted the way we wanted it to highlight, you can see that we've also got highlighting in there as well. And I think I may have highlighted somewhere else. Now I've highlighted all of that, so that's what our annotations would look like. Now we can't pull out just those annotations. You can see them here. This is the best way that we're going to be able to look at them as kind of their own tools or their own piece of text. We can't pull those out and print them, but we do have them here within annotations. And then you'll see also, we look at the arrow going into the box. That's going to allow it to save this. If we look at the arrow going out of the box, that's going to allow us to either open this in another program or email it. If I just tap email on here, this may not work because I don't think I have my email attached on this iPad. But you're going to get two options within email. One of them is to send a full version, one is to send a condensed version. If you send a condensed version or whatever that option might be, it's going to keep your edits on there, and then you're not going to be able to edit over them again when you do that. So it is a way to save that, but you also can't get around it and get away from it. If we look down at the bottom here, the last thing is the search option. If we hit search and then we type in a word, we'll type in Iowa. I'm sure that pops up 100 times in here. It shows you every page, every indication of that word popping up. So we decided that we wanted to see it on page 14. We tap on that, and it should take us directly to page 14 to show us that that version of the word Iowa. Apparently it shut us down, but that's what it's supposed to do. You saw that if we do search for that, you're going to see it shows you every example of that word on here. So let's try that one more time. Let's go to a different page. Let's go to page 12. And then it took us to page 12. You can see down here we're now on page 12 to where we have that, that annotation. I'm going to take it back to page 3, and we'll go back to our page 4 where we have our notes on here. We should, though I didn't save it, so when it closed down, we lost our notes since we hadn't saved it. But we save it, we keep it on here, and then again, if we go up top to the file folder and hit PDF documents, we can open this up at a later date. So really, this is a nice tool. The one key thing that you need to know for sure is that if you're going to have any of this done, if you're going to have any of this stuff read, you're going to have a PDF that's accessible in here. So make sure that you're that you're using accessible PDFs, PDFs that recognize text and not image-based PDFs, or else you're not going to have any of the reading done. You can still do the annotating, but you're not going to have any of the reading done. You may not actually be able to do any of the highlighting. That would be the other thing that would be difficult within that. But everything else you should be able to do. But again, we should be working with accessible PDFs. So that's it. Again, this retails for $1 or 99 cents in the App Store. It's a worthwhile investment for annotating with PDFs. If you have any questions on this, As always, you can watch this again on our app, the iCater Toolkit, which is free in the App Store, or you're also able to email me at james-stachowiak@uiowa.edu. Thanks, everybody.